This is Datila with Rangers of Wrestling and bringing you the Wrestling Time post show. And for tonight, I will be reviewing AEW Full Gear, but I'm not alone today. Joining me is my co-host. You guys don't know this person, but he is my co-host from the TNA IW Go Power Rankings show. Please help me welcome the one and only Burt Macklin. He has no relation to Steve Macklin.
Thank you for the introduction. I figure if I can talk Impact, I can talk AEW. I watch both, so I'm happy to be here.
This is the first time we're doing a show together that's not about Impact Wrestling. Feels kind of weird, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely, but it's going to be fun.
It definitely is. Okay, so a lot happened on tonight's pay-per-view, but let's talk about the biggest talking point of tonight's pay-per-view. MJF finally winning the AEW title by defeating Jon Moxley. But the way it happened is what everybody's talking about. He beat Jon Moxley after William Regal tossed him some brass knuckles. What are your thoughts on that?
I was actually on I did a prediction show, and me and the co-host actually both predicted that finish. I just think if you pay attention to the show, I think that was the only possible outcome, especially just I knew MJF wasn't going to win clean, so there had to be some sort of shenanigans involved, and William Regal playing a part in it is just, I think, very, very interesting going forward. So I like it.
Me too. I personally don't mind it. I feel like it was hinted at because you had Regal tell him that he didn't know how to be a bad guy, but I honestly thought the way this was going to be played out was that I thought the firm was going to get involved in some type of capacity. Like when the ref went down, I was like, oh my god, here comes the firm. MJ lied to us all, and he's secretly going to use the firm because he had already whipped out the Dynamite Diamond ring. So I was like, the firm's totally going to come out. But to my surprise, it was Regal who threw those brass knucks at MJF.
And I don't necessarily think that this means that he's going to manage MJF. MJF doesn't necessarily need a manager. I think this might just be something to do with William Regal and Jon Moxley, maybe a storyline with them going forward. So we'll see.
I think the better question is, how is the Blackpool Combat Club going to react to this?
Yeah, definitely. It would be that's going to be very telling as well.
Yes, because Bryan and Claudio and Wheeler are probably going to feel betrayed by Regal.
Definitely.
Are they going to want to attack Regal after this? Are they going to want to give him a beatdown? What? I'm so intrigued to see what's going to happen with this storyline going forward.
Yeah, I definitely am. I want to hear what William Regal has to say, number one. So Wednesday can't get here soon enough.
I know, definitely. Okay. So, did you have any favorite spots in this match?
No, I thought it was it was a typical Moxley match for the most part. You know, you're gonna see a lot of the same spots. That doesn't mean that I don't like those spots, but I just think the ending was just really well done. So with all the ref spots, and then I think that was my favorite, the ending.
I really liked MJF doing the Ric Flair strut. Did you catch that when he was doing the Flair strut?
No, I don't know how I missed that. No, I didn't.
Yeah, he did the Flair strut. And then, I really liked how MJF really, how can I say this? If you remember their first match at All Out 2020, MJF got the Paradigm Shift ban, and he did everything in his power so that he can beat Jon Moxley. Yet here, he didn't get the Paradigm Shift ban, So I feel like it came full circle, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely.
That tombstone onto the table, wow.
Yeah, definitely brutal.
Oh my god, I think MJF messed up his knee when he did the pile driver, because it looked like his knee pad slipped off.
I hope not. I hope he didn't, but we'll have to see.
He was clutching that knee afterwards.
Well, we hope we don't have to see another interim title situation.
I don't think it's going to lead to that. I think it was probably just when you hit your bone and it hurts, it was probably just that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So before we move on, before we start the review from the beginning, I just wanted to say I actually really liked the build to this match. I thought it was a really good build. I really like the fact that they both played a good story. And the ref went down twice. They went down twice in this. One of the things that I noticed was that the crowd was really behind MJF. They were in Newark, New Jersey, which is not necessarily MJF's hometown, but we're close to MJF's hometown. So the crowd was really behind MJF and they were booing Moxley. Did you catch that?
Yeah, that's what's kind of weird about this whole situation. Like, MJF is having to I don't know what MJF's gonna have to do at this point to get the crowd to boo him, because I don't think that they're trying to turn him babyface. So that's very interesting.
I think he's gonna be one of those rare heels that gets cheered instead of booed.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right. But with that being said, let's start from the very beginning, let's start with 0 Hour. So 0 Hour kicked off with the Best Friends versus the Factory. So this was actually a fun little match, if you ask me. A very fun little match. I really like that one spot where the Factory mocked Best Friends and did the hug to QT Marshall. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I thought that was very funny.
Yep. It was hilarious. But let's talk about that double hurricanrana that Orange Cassidy did to Lee Johnson and Nick Comoroto.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy, I think, just always is one of those people that probably will never just get the respect from his look wise, but he always goes out there and usually is the best performer of the match that he's in, or one of them. So
he also did a diving crossbody to QT Marshall. Now, I don't know about you, but if you were keeping track like I was, the diving crossbody seemed to be a very popular move tonight. A lot of wrestlers used it in their matches.
It's just a good spot, you know what I mean? I think it always looks good, so I don't have a problem with it.
Me neither, but I'm just saying, it seemed to be a very popular move tonight.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and how can we forget Danhausen being the final member of the Best Friends team, which I think we both saw coming. I think we knew it was going to be Danhausen. And Danhausen is just so hilarious. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, I think this is his most the most involved in a match we've seen him since he's been signed to AEW. He's recovering from a pretty serious injury, so I think this is the most we've seen him in action. So yeah, he looked pretty good.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but didn't Danhausen do the orange punch to Nick Comoroto?
I think so. I think he did.
And he's not the first person tonight to use somebody else's move on themselves.
Yeah.
Certainly not the first one. But anywho, Best Friends, Danhausen and Rocky Romero win this match. And at the end, the Best Friends hug Danhausen. And it was a good way, if you ask me, to kick off 0 Hour.
Yeah, it's a fun 10-man tag, typical New Japan type match, 10 people in the match, real fun. Kick off a show. I liked it.
Definitely, me too. Okay. We get a quick little backstage interview with Konosuke Takeshita, who is all elite, as we found out today. And he said he was looking forward to Eddie Kingston's match. It was his dream to wrestle in America, and he will fight for his life in AEW.
Yeah, so
what are your thoughts on Konosuke?
Yeah, good signing by AEW. Just another pickup. Maybe not everybody knows about, but a lot of the hardcore scene, indie scene knows about, and people who watch a lot of the Japanese wrestling. So I think it's a really good start to bridge that gap for the American audience. So yeah, good get.
I actually didn't know who he was until he came to AEW. I don't watch Japanese wrestling, but to be fair, I also don't watch Mexican wrestling.
We need to check it out sometime. It's pretty good. It's good stuff.
I did go to New Japan Resurgence last year.
Okay.
Yeah, we should go to the oh, never mind. Okay, so then we have the AEW title eliminator tournament semifinal match. It was the Machine Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks. The Machine Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks. So like, I somehow knew Ricky Starks was going to win, and I think he might win the tournament because like he was out with an injury, and I feel like if he wasn't meant to win this tournament, I feel like he would have just gotten replaced. Don't you think?
Yeah, but I on the other hand do not see him win this tournament just because the easy first feud for MJF is with the Firm. So I see Ethan Page winning just because it just seems like that's kind of been like the subplot to MJF winning the title. Like it's not like they helped him or anything, but you know what I mean? They keep referencing how he kind of screwed him over and turned his back on him, so he didn't need him. So I'm unfortunately thinking Ethan Page will win.
Okay, so we're on different ends of the spectrum here. Okay. So I really like that powerbomb into the turnbuckle that Cage did to Ricky Starks, which he followed up with the lariat. I thought that was a cool combo.
Yeah, Cage always does stuff like that, and it always looks really, really good.
You know something, for a big guy, Brian Cage can move.
Yeah, definitely. That's what he's been known for, And yeah, he can move for sure.
He can move, especially for like a big guy. I was really surprised by that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I like, that it was mentioned on commentary. So I don't know if you caught this, but commentary said that Ricky Starks and Brian Cage were original members of Team Taz, which is true. They were.
Yes, yeah. That's what I like that storyline, that little underplot of that match. Definitely.
Same. And not only that, but if I recall correctly, Ricky Starks took the FTW title off of Brian Cage, and then Team Taz turned on Brian Cage.
Yes.
Right? So there is some history right there.
Yeah.
But what I really liked was the finish was Ricky Starks doing that destroyer, followed by the Rochambeau, and he was victorious. And Ethan Page was on commentary. So now we know Ethan Page versus Ricky Starks in the finals.
And that should be a great match. That should be a really exciting match. Two guys that like are borderline main eventers that, could be world champions. So
let me ask you this. I've mentioned this before on my post show. I've mentioned it quite a few times, but I've never had anybody else to ask an opinion on. Well, as of late, I should say. And so, what do you think about this? So, Ethan Page left Impact Wrestling to go to AEW. He has yet to win gold, but yet his former tag team partner, Josh Alexander, is the Impact World Champion. And you could have even made the same argument for Kiera Hogan, where she left Impact, split up her tag team Fire and Flavor, went to AEW. She wasn't on TV, and then when she was on TV, Tasha Steelz, her former tag team partner, was Knockouts champion. Isn't that weird? Like, what are your thoughts on that before we move on to the next match?
Well, I would say that Ethan Page is slightly more featured than Kiera Hogan. Both aren't at the spot they were at Impact, but I guess it's just one of those cases versus what do you value more? I would say money or being a big fish in a small pond, as we could say. I don't know the extent of their deals if they are making more money, but it's not. I don't think there's any argument to say that they're on a bigger network and there's more eyes on them. So that's something that a lot of wrestlers value, and wrestling in front of bigger crowds. You know what I mean? They are wrestling in front of thousands of people on a weekly basis. So I think that means something. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do see your point. I didn't think about it that way. I just thought it was kind of ironic that Ethan Page left Impact to Yeah, he hasn't won gold. Meanwhile, Josh Alexander is killing it as Impact World Champion. I mean, you should see his match against Frankie Kazarian from Overdrive. I think that was honestly a really great match.
Yeah, I can't wait to check it out.
Definitely. And let me hear your thoughts on that when you do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the final match on 0 Hour was Eddie Kingston versus Jun Akiyama. And this was a dream match for Eddie Kingston. And I had to say, this was a really good match. I actually really enjoyed this match. It was a great way to close off 0 Hour. And I knew this match was not going to be disappointing based on what we saw on Rampage. But what are your thoughts on this match and on Eddie Kingston winning?
I really enjoyed this match. It's just like a really like old school no nonsense match. I just think it's not just chops after chop after chop. And yeah, I personally think Eddie Kingston in 2023 should be world champion. So I don't know how we get there at this point, but I just think he's one of the more compelling people in AEW. I think the fans really can get behind him. So yeah, I really like this match.
Me too. Eddie Kingston showing respect to Jun Akiyama at the end after he hit the Northern Light bomb to him. He let Akiyama get back on his feet, and then he hit him with the spinning back fist. And then afterwards, like he lifted Akiyama's arm, and then Akiyama lifted Kingston's arm, and then Ortiz entered the ring, and he had Kingston, and they were just trying to stall to get until the main card started. But Eddie Kingston listing a bunch of Japanese wrestlers who have passed away, and he says he hopes he made them proud.
Yeah, that was really nice. And yeah, he always pays respect, so you gotta love that.
Definitely. And he says he wanted to see Jamie Hayter and Tony Storm.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. And then he's like, I gotta go. They're kicking me out or something like that.
Yeah, that was really funny.
It was. It honestly was. Honestly, I wish I could have been there alive for that. Look at it would have been funny.
That would have been cool.
All right, so now let's talk the main card. Okay, so the main card kicked off with the steel cage match is Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Luchasaurus. And honestly, like, I actually really like this match. Like, I felt bad for Jungle Boy because he got busted open pretty early in this match. But Christian Cage was at ringside, so he did try to get involved. One thing that I want to know is how the hell did he manage to successfully steal those referees' keys without the referee not knowing? Like, you can feel when someone's trying to steal something from your pocket. Like, he stole the keys and he successfully opened the door. Security dragged him away, and then it allowed Luchasaurus to bring in the table. So what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know how he, quite got the keys. That's just one of those things with wrestling, you know what I mean? It doesn't really need to make sense, but it makes enough sense. But and as far as Jungle Boy getting busted up, I think that really added to the match, and I think this is a great way to kind of end a feud. I hope it ends the feud, just because it's a cage match, and you would technically think a cage match would be the culmination of everything. So yeah, I like this match as well.
Yeah, hopefully this feud does conclude with this match. I don't see why it would continue past this feud. Oh my god, probably my favorite spot in this match was actually the finish. It was probably the finish. You had Jungle Boy climb up to the top of the cage, the elbow through the table from the top of the cage to Luchasaurus, and then he put him in the snare trap. And Jungle Boy ended up winning by submission. If you ask me, that was a pretty cool finish.
Yeah, great finish. Very exciting.
And then at the end, Jack Perry hugs his mom and his sister.
Yeah, what a moment.
Definitely. All right. So next we had the AEW World Trios Championship match. Is Death Triangle versus the Elite. I think this is the one match that everybody wanted to see. Or at least I wanted to see this match because this is the Elite's first match back since they were suspended back in September. And what were your thoughts on this match?
I think this was easily the match of the night just because with the people involved in it, I think they're all capable together in a single, in one-on-one matches, putting on a 5-star match. So, I think easily this was the best match. There's too many great spots to recall, but yeah, easily match of the night. I think at least 5 stars. So, great stuff.
That's your Macklin Meltzer rating?
Yeah, I would say easily 5 stars, maybe 5.5.
So the Elite coming out to carry on by Wayward.
It was Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas.
There you go. I knew it sounded familiar. It didn't register to me. I was like, what is this song? I know it sounds familiar. I've heard this song before. I just don't recall.
Yeah, that was cool.
Did you hear the fuck CM Punk chants?
Yeah, I did. I would have to say, like, it's probably pretty much over for that chapter. I would assume. I don't know how you bring him back after that.
I mean, it's crazy though, because like a few months ago, like you and I, we were both at Double or Nothing this past May. We were both at Double or Nothing. And I don't know about you, but I can remember the crowd chanting for CM Punk. Like, I have the moment where CM Punk beat Hangman Adam Page on video, and the whole crowd was like cheering. Everybody was cheering for him, and everybody was so happy. And now it's just a 180.
Yeah, a lot's happened since then. I would say the community's kind of been divided on it. You know what I mean? He still has his fans, but I would think a lot of people have soured on him at this point.
I mean, the section where you were at, were they loud? Were cheering for CM Punk winning, or were they?
Yeah, the whole arena was pretty loud. Yeah.
Yeah, because my section was pretty loud too.
And I can only imagine how loud the chants were tonight.
Oh, they sounded loud. I mean, I think that watching a pay-per-view at home does not do justice to the crowd on how loud they are. You get me? Because sometimes it doesn't translate. And then you see videos from people that were there live, and it's like, holy shit, the crowd was super loud.
Yeah.
So, oh my God. So I have a couple of favorite spots in this match. So I really like when both Phoenix and Nick Jackson super kicked each other, or when the Young Bucks super kicked the Lucha Brothers. So Matt to Penta and Nick to Phoenix, and then all 4 men went down. Those thrust kicks that the Lucha Brothers attempted to do, but they were caught by the Bucks. Then they got hit with super kicks. The Hurricanrana to Penta by Omega, or the Hurricanrana to Phoenix by Nick Jackson. Those are some cool spots. And I honestly, like, I was at the first All Out, and I'll never forget that Escalera de Muerte match between the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers, or even last year, that steel cage match. Holy smokes. Like, the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks have had some good matches in the past, so I was not surprised that they had incredible chemistry during this match.
Yeah. They always will. They always the 4 of them always put on great matches together, and then also Kenny Omega and Pac have great chemistry as well.
Did you see that one spot where like Nick Jackson went to the outside and he's waving at the camera, and then a fan hands him like a drink?
No, I did not see that. That's funny.
Did you see that spot? Yeah, a fan handed him like a drink.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Okay. So Pac got busted open during this match. I didn't catch when he got busted open, but he got busted open. And like there was this one spot where Matt Jackson did double Northern Light suplexes to the Lucha Brothers.
Mm-hmm. That always looks impressive.
Yeah. Or how about that triple tombstone to the Elite? Pac had Omega, Phoenix had Nick, and Penta had Matt.
Yeah, that was just a great spot for TV. That's really good on camera.
Well, originally Omega had Pac, but then Pac reversed it and he had Omega then.
Yeah, the crowd loved that. That was good.
Yeah, that was a good spot, honestly. Oh my God. So like that V trigger to that double underhook Tiger 98 to Phoenix by Omega was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that looked awesome.
But here's one thing that I noticed. So Pac threw the ring bell hammer to Phoenix, but he hesitated. He hesitated to use that thing. And like that was the first time. Did you also catch him the triple super kick to Penta by the Elite?
Yes.
So after a BT trigger to Phoenix by the Elite, and after Pac attempted to use that ring bell hammer on Nick, Pac once again handed the hammer over to Rey Fenix. And this time he did not hesitate. Rey Fenix, he skipped a one-winged angel by using the ring bell hammer on Kenny Omega. And so the Death Triangle successfully retained the trios titles. But Rey Fenix looked disappointed in himself. And as we learned later on in the night, there's going to be a best of series matches culminating what it's supposed to, depending on how far they get, it'll culminate on at the LA show.
Yeah, best of 7 series. That is a lot of matches, and I guarantee you it most likely will go 7. I don't see like there being a sweep, and usually in wrestling they're going to give you, and everyone knows Game 7 in sports is always really, really good. So I definitely see it best of it going 7 matches, especially since LA is kind of like a hometown for the Bucks. So yeah,
and the Lucha brothers.
Yeah, it's going to be 7 matches, definitely.
So one of the things that I like about this is I honestly thought this match was going to be predictable. I was like, oh, the Elite. Once we found out the Elite was coming back at Full Gear, I was like, oh, the Elite's winning this. They're going to recapture those trio titles, which are titles that they never lost. And the Death Triangle is probably going to crumble because Pac's going to want to cheat, and Rey Fenix is not going to have that. I was pleasantly surprised that Death Triangle actually won this. And I'm actually kind of glad that they did, because there's a much bigger story to be told. If you remember, Pac has been using that ring hammer for a while because he says that they need to win at all costs. Yet the Lucha Brothers did not want to use it. You know?
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. It's definitely a major part of the story. So we'll definitely have to see where they go and if that plays a part in the rest of the matches going forward.
But overall, it was a good match. I actually really enjoyed it, and I'm really happy Death Triangle retained. I would have been happy if the Elite won, but I just felt like the Elite winning would have been way too predictable. I can understand why some people were upset that the Elite lost, but I feel like it would have been a double-edged sword, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So then we had the TBS Championship match is Jade Cargill versus Nyla Rose. Did you catch Jade Cargill? She was dressed as Chitara from Chitara? How do you say it?
Chitara from Thundercats. Yeah, I caught that.
Chitara from Thundercats, yeah. So, a couple things. Vicky Guerrero and Nyla Rose coming out in the lowrider, and Vicky Guerrero wearing Rhea Ripley's I'm Your Mommy shirt.
That's funny.
Did you catch that?
Yeah, I think the entrances were fine, but this was definitely, like, I don't expect them my least favorite match on the card. I just thought it was kind of like, not sloppy, but just, I don't know. I just don't think the chemistry was there. And, you know, the storyline's fun, but I'm ready for this one to move on.
I would say I do agree with you. This was also my least favorite match on the card. It was predictable. I think we both knew Jade Cargill was walking away with her TBS title. Besides, we've seen this match before. And to me, this match, like I said, weakest match of the card. I will say the two things I did like about this was Jade using Nyla Rose's Beast Bomb on her, and Nyla Rose attempting to using Jaded on Jade.
Yeah, that's always fun when you see an exchange of finishers like that. I always like that in a match.
Yeah, so those were my two favorite spots. So aside from that, I feel like that was the weakest match on tonight's show.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you have a four-way match for the Ring of Honor World Championship match. It's Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson versus Claudio Castagnoli versus Sammy Guevara. And this was I don't know about how you feel, but I personally like this match. This was a fun little match. So many spots to talk about. You know.
I think this is a really fun match too. I think this is top 3 match on the card. So yeah, this is really good.
So talk about Jericho sending Bryan into the steel steps, uppercuts to Jericho by both Claudio and Bryan. Then you had them do uppercuts to Sammy. You had Bryan and Claudio Castagnoli. They shook hands. And then they just went at each other. They did back and forth uppercuts. Both of their chests were red. That triangle sleeper to Claudio by Claudio to Bryan was really good. And then that spot where they were doing back and forth pins was pretty fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of good, just pure wrestling in the match, which is always fun to see. And yeah, Bryan Danielson and Claudio are all just really world class at that. And I really like the tension that you saw later in the match between Sammy and Jericho. You started to see maybe a little bit of a crack. Sammy, can't be in the background for long. He is a star, so I think it's only a matter of time before he tries to break away or we see some dissension. But I hope we have seen the last of the BCC versus JAS.
I do agree with you on Sammy, the tension between Sammy and Jericho. I really like that double team to Jericho that Bryan and Claudio did. They did a double single leg crab on him.
Yeah.
And Sammy saved him by doing a double cutter to Bryan and Claudio. And then Sammy and Jericho hugged. The spot that you're talking about was this one spot where it looked like Sammy Guevara hit Chris Jericho. And then Chris Jericho was looking at him like, what the hell? Yeah. So I really like that. I really like that tension, like you said.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Chris Jericho putting Sammy Guevara in the walls of Jericho. That delayed vertical suplex to Jericho. I didn't catch who did that to Jericho, but that was a pretty cool spot.
Yeah, there was just so much to keep up with in this match, just because it's 4 singles guys. So there wasn't just spots everywhere.
What about the other spot where you had a single leg crab to Jericho, which Claudio did, and then Jericho crawled to Bryan to break free by putting him in the pin. Then Bryan turned it into a label lock and a single leg crab. That was a pretty cool spot.
That was really cool.
It was. The GTH to Jericho followed by a shooting star press by Sammy Guevara was another cool spot.
I honestly thought that was it right there. We were going to see an upset.
Me too. I was like, oh my God, this is going to end. But, of course, Jericho found some way to retain his title. He did the leaping Judas effect to Claudio as Claudio was spinning Sammy Guevara.
Yeah.
And Jericho is still Ring of Honor champion, or as he likes to call himself, Reign of Jericho champion.
Yeah.
So next we had Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D. versus Saraya, and Saraya's big return match. This is her first match in 5 years, and I don't know about you, but I was worried. I honestly was worried. Every time she grabbed her neck, I was like, oh dear God, please let her get through this match. Let her be safe.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people probably thought. That's why I think the length of this match was what it is, and I don't, I think there might have been some moments where, and by design, where you thought that she was going to target the neck, but there was nothing too serious where she was laying on her neck the whole match. So good for them for protecting her as they eased her back.
She kind of did target. Britt did target Saraya's neck. She did a couple of neck breakers. She did that swinging neck breaker, and Saraya landed on the floor. Again, remember I said they did a lot of diving crossbodies? Saraya did one to Britt in this match. Britt then did elbows to the back of Saraya's neck. You had the power bomb to Britt. Now, here's the funny thing is that Saraya did 2 rampages on Britt, which gave her the victory, but commentary didn't call it the rampage. I actually think they stayed silent on that move, so it's not the rampage anymore. I guess we had to wait and see what they call a finisher. Yeah,
it'll be interesting what her finish is her name going forward.
Exactly. But good the match, I would say, was okay. I wasn't expected it to be a 5-star match, but it definitely was just supposed to be for Saraya. This match was definitely supposed to just be Saraya's big comeback match.
Yeah, and it was a fun match.
Yeah, it was. So next we had a 3-way for the TNT Championship match. It was Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Samoa Joe. Or as Big E likes to say, big meaty men slapping meat. Right?
Definitely. That's exactly what this match was. Like, from start to finish, you just had 3 powerhouse and Powerhouse Hobbs, no pun intended. But yeah, you just had 3 big guys in this match going at it. It was really fun. I love this match.
Yeah, and Wardlow, like Brian Cage, for him being a big guy, he can move. Yeah.
All those guys can move pretty well for their side. It's like that new hybrid kind of style you see a lot of people, from Keith Lee to guys like that. So, yeah, my only qualms with this match is I think I think Powerhouse Hobbs should have pinned Wardlow I think Wardlow's TNT title should be kind of ending. I think it's kind of been a little lackluster at this point, at least toward the end. So Powerhouse Hobbs should have won just because he's a star in the making, and I don't think Joe needs 2 belts. So that's my only problem.
So how Joe won? You had Wardlow do all the work. He did the Powerbomb Symphony 3 times to Powerhouse Hobbs. Then Joe hit Wardlow with the title, and Joe stole it from Wardlow, putting Hobbs in that sleeper. And Samoa Joe ended up winning this, and now he's 2 belts Joe.
Yeah, which I'm a little weird. I'm a little confused by that, but we'll have to see where they go with this.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I wonder if you'll do open challenges for either of those belts.
We'll have to wait and see, but I could definitely see it.
Same. All right, so then we get a Chris Jericho backstage interview, and what we learned about this interview is that he says that Sammy Guevara has been by his side because of competitiveness, and he is the greatest Ring of Honor champion. We come to find out that on Dynamite, we're going to have Tomohiro Ishii versus Chris Jericho, which is probably going to be Chris Jericho's toughest opponent to date. Yeah,
definitely.
I don't know how Jericho's going to win that one, but he's going to
find... And he's going to be in...
Ocho. He's the Ocho. He's going to find a way to win.
Yeah.
And the funny part was that it was Orange Cassidy, who told him this, and Chris Jericho tells Orange Cassidy he still owes him $7,000 for that jacket that he ruined, 2 years ago? Was it a year ago or 2?
Yeah, that's so funny.
And so Chris Jericho then says that Ishii used to shine his shoes, carry his luggage, and bring him coffee.
That's so funny. What a heel.
Right? Jack Hager says that he likes the All-Atlantic title. He likes his hat. And Cassidy tells him that it's a nice hat. And Hager likes his hat. And so he's challenging him for the All-Atlantic title. And Hager with his hat's actually pretty funny. I think it's the most we've seen out of Hager. Because he's usually been pretty quiet in the background. So
yeah, I could take it or leave it. But yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
So let me ask you this. Who had the better hat game? Chelsea Green or Jack Hager?
Oh, definitely Chelsea Green.
She did have some nice hats during her time in Impact.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess she's got him beat there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then we had the no DQ, no countout match. It's Sting and Darby Allin versus Jay Lethal and Double J Jeff Jarrett. So
I think everyone expected this match, what it is, it's going to be kind of like, a bit of a kind of a free-for-all, a lot going on. So it was a fun match, though.
It definitely was a fun match. This match had a lot of spots that we could talk about. But before we talk about those spots, did you catch that TNA chant when Sting and Double J had that stare down?
Yeah, that was really awesome.
It's so funny that a lot of people were chanting for TNA, yet I bet half those people don't even watch Impact right now.
Yeah, true.
Right? So I really like that when Sting was supposed to come out, he was behind Double J.
Yeah, that was fun. I think everyone kind of thought something along the lines like that would happen, so that was fun.
Did you see that spot where Darby Allin, he climbed a ladder and he did the coffin drop, but Satan Singh caught him and it was like 25 feet?
That looks scary.
Yeah, that was scary. Oh yeah. Or what about, oh my God, what about when Darby Allin did the coffin drop, where he attempted to do the coffin drop on Jay Lethal, but Double J hit him in the back with the guitar? I thought it was over right there.
Yeah, that was brutal again. Darby always just takes so many brutal looking spots in all of his matches. You wonder how he's walking the next day.
Well, I mean, look at the Hardy Boys. They did a lot of crazy stuff, and Matt Hardy's still walking.
That's true.
I really like that Lethal Injection Scorpion Death Drop combo that they did, but Darby Allin got the win when he did the coffin drop to Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
So, fun little match, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we had the AEW Women's World Championship match. It was Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter. The crowd was totally behind Jamie Hayter. And honestly, out of the 3 women's matches that we had on this card, this to me was the best one out of all of them.
I think this is the second best match of the night and arguably one of the best women's matches in AEW history. This was a great match.
Toni Storm did a hip attack with a diving crossbody. I'm telling you, the diving crossbody was a very popular move tonight. A lot of wrestlers used it in their match.
Yeah.
Told you. Like, I take notes during the show to be able to do these reviews, so I keep track, or I try my best to keep track of everything. Okay. So, of course, Jamie Hayter, even though she came out alone, Rebel came out, Dr. Britt Baker came out. She did a stomp to Toni Storm on the title. That was not enough. Jamie Hayter using Toni Storm's own Storm Zero on her.
Yeah, that you knew there was going to be interference at some point. So, and it just became too much for Toni Storm. And yeah, so congratulations to Jamie Hayter on getting the win.
Yeah, definitely. Jamie Hayter, she definitely deserved that. And now I think now that Jamie Hayter's champion, we're gonna tell the story of her breakup with Britt Baker. I think this is going to lead to the breakup of Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker.
Yeah.
This is where they're headed. But overall, best women's match of the night.
Yeah.
So we have the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. It is The Acclaim versus Swerve and Our Glory. This is a rubber match. Both teams have a victory over each other. Swerve and Our Glory won at All Out. The Acclaim winning at Grand Slam. So this is going to be the rubber match. And
this is a really good match. The Acclaim are like so over. So I'm glad they retained their titles. And yeah, this was just a really good match. The crowd's always into The Acclaim. They love Swerve. They love Keith Lee. So yeah, great stuff.
Now, I knew this was coming. I didn't know how it was going to go down, but I knew this was coming. I guess we witnessed the breakup of Swerve and Our Glory. Swerve Strickland using those pilers or attempting to use the pilers on The Acclaim. And then Daddy Ass came out and stopped him. And he tried to use it on Max Caster. And then Swerve Strickland was encouraging Keith Lee to use the pilers, but Keith Lee threw him away. He says he wasn't going to win that way. And Swerve Strickland slapped him. He slapped him, and then Keith Lee walked out on Swerve Strickland, which allowed Anthony Bowens to roll up Swerve Strickland. But for some reason, that wasn't over yet. Imagine if Swerve Strickland would have won this match all by himself. That would have been a huge twist of fate.
Yeah.
That would have been something.
Yeah.
But the Acclaim were successfully victorious after they double teamed Swerve Strickland. So the Acclaim retaining their tag titles here tonight. And they officially, not only did they officially beat or won the feud with Swerve and Our Glory, they're no more now.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens. And then we'll probably get a Swerve Lee's feud. So that should be fun.
I definitely I definitely do think that's the case. So the main event ended up being AEW World Championship match, Jon Moxley versus MJF. We already talked about this at the beginning, but in case people come in late, let's talk about it again. Just really briefly. So the entire feud leading up to this match was actually really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the feud between MJF and Jon Moxley. And I was expecting MJF to be victorious in this feud, in this match. I think everybody was expecting that. Imagine the riot that they would have had on their hands if Jon Moxley was victorious in this match.
Yeah, it would have. No, it's not like they hate Moxley, but they just want to see a payoff to what we've been told, So yeah, MJF winning was the right call.
Yeah, it definitely was. I liked MJF doing the flare strut, which you didn't see him do, but I saw him do. But the biggest talking point in this match was William. Okay, so the ref gets knocked down twice during this match. Gets knocked down twice. And Regal comes out because MJF is about to use a Dynamite Diamond Ring, even though he said he wasn't going to. And Regal tells him not to do it. Takes off the Dynamite Diamond Ring, throws it, flips off Regal. And then you see Regal encourage Jon Moxley to get the ref because MJF was tapping. He was tapping out. But of course the ref was down, so he didn't see that. So while Moxley was getting the ref, you see William Regal slide brass knuckles to MJF, and MJF uses them on Jon Moxley, and he is victorious in this match. So he got his win back from All Out 2020, and that is pretty much how Full Gear ends, with MJF as the new AEW World Champion. And honestly, I am quite happy. MJF deserved it, but I'm really excited to see what happens on Dynamite. How does a Blackpool Combat Club react to this? And I want to hear William Regal's explanation for siding with MJF. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely want to hear that. I think he'll definitely kick off the show. I don't see any other way to kick off the show. So William Regal I could definitely see him cutting a promo where it makes a lot of sense, where he brings up a lot of history. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, MJF and William Regal had that really amazing promo a couple weeks ago, and I actually really like that promo.
Yeah.
But with that being said, that will conclude the review. Do you have anything? What would you rate tonight's show? Overall, the pay-per-view, what would you rank it?
I would say
out of 10?
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10?
Yeah.
For me, I would also have to agree with you, a 9 out of 10, just because the TBS title match was, I felt, was the weakest match on that card. If you would have switched that match with probably the Eddie Kingston versus Jun Akiyama, I would have given the review a 10.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with you. But yeah, overall, it's a great show.
Yeah, overall, great show. I can't complain too much about it. So,
yeah.
All right, Bert. So, where can people find you on social media?
Just follow me at BertMacklin11 on Twitter, and just look out for me. I watch pretty much everything except for WWE, but I do check it out from time to time. But yeah, BertMacklin11 on Twitter.
Except he doesn't like Melvin, so don't follow him if you're Melvin.
Exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't like Melvins. He's told me so many times how many times he hates Melvins. Speaking of Melvins, I'm really surprised. I really am bummed that the Kingdom was not on this pay-per-view. But with Final Battle in December, maybe they'll be on that pay-per-view.
I think they're going to be more Ring of Honor than AEW, but I think we'll see.
Definitely. So, for those of you guys who missed it, Bert and I are co-hosts over at TNAIW, which stands for Total Nonsense. Talking nonsense about Impact Wrestling. My bad. Oh my god! I hope Jeff is not watching this.
Yeah, but yeah, we film tomorrow and catch our episode drops every Tuesday.
Yes, we actually I do the voiceover for the Power Rankings, and we film the Power Rankings. We're co-hosts, and if you guys want to check that out, feel free to check us out over there on TNAIW. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for your continuous support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys Monday after Raw. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, hold on.